James has learned that there are a lot of good people in this world, and that if you're willing to stick with something and be true to yourself, that people will respond and people will try to help you in any way that they can.
I learned what it can do for others. When my mom donated, she explained to me every time that a little bit of change can make a big difference.
Welcome everyone to Family Comes First. I'm Vincent J. Russo.
And I'm Victoria Roberts-Drogin. Thank you so much for joining us today. Most of us don't remember when we learned the importance of money. Maybe it was when the ice cream truck rolled around the corner and we searched our pockets for change before asking Mom and Dad.
That's right. And today we are living in a material world. It's important that at a young age we teach our children about the value of money and how it can be used to help others as well.
Today we will bring you the story of James Funaro, who at 6 years old raised money for Make-A-Wish Foundation to help another little boy's dream come true.
James wore a tie for more than 300 days and raised more than $11,000. We will talk to James and his mom a little later. First, we have with us experts on how to teach children the importance of money.
Joining us now are Karen Tannenbaum, a tax attorney who teaches financial literacy for children, and George Orafici, a financial advisor with MetLife. Welcome, both of you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
And welcome back, George.
Thank you.
Karen, as a co-founder of Commerce Plaza and Walter the Vault, you focus on developing financial literacy for children. So let's take a look at these projects and see why that's important.
Well, we believe that you should start young and make it fun. And wouldn't it be great if every child had a lifelong journey of being financially and fiscally responsible? And we've taken that concept and we've grown it. And we think that if you start at a very young age, when kids really understand, oh, I want this, and maybe teach them a little bit between wants and needs, they could take those skills and practice them for the rest of their lives. So it's almost like teaching them to brush their teeth. And they start out and they might not know what they're doing at first, but eventually, after practice, they gain the skill to incorporate it into their daily lives. So our concept is to empower children to make wise financial decisions. One of our goals is to make every child a money master. And we also want to teach children that there are certain things that money can't buy. Friendship, health, family. We think these are very important goals as well.
The hope is that our program here introduces children to a lot of great concepts, not just financial literacy, but also the understanding of how important it is to embrace volunteerism, to embrace charitable giving. We have, part of our center here is to have one program that actually focuses on charitable giving. So, we encourage that. We think that's a very, very big part of living in the community, is giving back to the community.
We want to help children make this happen. We want to unlock their dreams with our cute little character named Walter the Vault. And so we've expanded to go beyond just the mechanics of money and the philosophy of money and the value of money and those concepts that we just discussed, to include things like children are passionate about things. They have goals, and we want them to dream that they could be anything they want to be, and we want to help them make it happen. So the bottom line is, start young and make it fun. Empower children to make wise financial decisions, and make it interactive and make it exciting so that it's something the kids want to learn and stay with on a journey for their entire life.
What a wonderful program that we just saw on how to teach children financial literacy. And it seems like we got two things going on. We've got the Commerce Plaza and we have Walter the Vault. So I'm thinking perhaps there are different teaching tools and approaches for children who are under 11 or so and maybe over 11 or so. So can you talk to us about that, Karen?
Commerce Plaza is a program geared toward 11-year-olds, fifth graders, and it's through participating school districts. And Walter the Vault teaches children 4 to 9 basic financial skills.
So Karen, elaborate a little bit on what actually you do at Commerce Plaza.
Commerce Plaza is a hands-on experience for children in fifth grade. They come on a field trip and run one of 10 businesses for the day.
Very
Karen, why
interesting.
is it important to teach children about money?
So as a tax attorney, I've seen the financial hardships that people get themselves into.
Absolutely.
And we realize that you really need to make it a routine to learn good financial skills and start young.
George, do you find that it's more of a challenge to teach kids about money today than maybe it was 30 or 40 years ago?
My perception is that it is, simply because years ago, for argument's sake, I had a paper route when I was probably
Right.
10 or 9 years old, and I delivered the newspaper before school, and I actually had my own money to be able to spend on. And I think finding jobs for kids that age now are a little bit more difficult.
It's more limited in what they can actually
Yeah.
do.
So how does technology change how we teach our children about financial literacy and money, the value of money?
I think it's changed it dramatically. I mean, we take pictures of checks now and we can deposit it. We do all online banking. I remember as a kid, my dad would bring me to the bank, so I understood that he was going to the bank either to bring money or to take money away. Right now, the kid sits in the back of a minivan. Mom, punches numbers into an ATM machine and money comes out without a real full concept of how the money got there.
Credit cards, too.
Credit cards,
because
right.
we use them for
It's every day.
everything.
Debit cards
yeah.
and credit cards, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's an automatic. It's I need something, so I just get it.
Right, the
Kind
big
of.
picture isn't seen. It's just the microcosm of the money coming out of the machine.
So parents have to
Very
go out of their
interesting.
way to connect the concept of earning to the credit card to what you buy.
I
There's
would
an
say so, sure.
added level.
So when are there good opportunities to speak to younger children about money?
I think pretty much any time. I mean, you can make it during a Monopoly game, for instance, or even a trip to the supermarket. We have this much money to spend on groceries, and if it comes down to the Lucky Charms or the Oreos, we have to pick one because we only have a finite amount of money to deal with. Which would you prefer to have?
So which way do we go? Lucky
Oreos,
Charms or
always.
Oreos?
I'm an Oreos girl, gotta say.
Double stuff.
Double stuff, right.
What you thinking about allowances?
I think given the fact that there are not as many opportunities to work as young people, I think an allowance is a great way to teach the children about money. Specifically, though, if you're going to pay them, let's say it's $10 a week, to perhaps pay it out in singles so that they can budget the money in various ways. Spending money, saving money, money for a charitable cause, or a game that they'd like to save for. But at least they could break it down and they can see that. And they can see the power of saving. If I've saved $5 a week times 52, how much will I have at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point about it's not all about spending the money.
Right.
It's also about how do you save that money.
Right.
Any tips on allowances that you would throw out, Karen?
Well, I think that it's very important to save your money and watch it grow on a regular basis. Put your
Walter.
money. That's
so
right.
who is, no, explain.
So, okay,
who
Walter
is.
Walter is an animated character that teaches money lessons through songs and poems, and it's our goal to meet with governmental guidelines that show what children can learn from ages 3 to 5. They can understand that they have to wait before they can buy something. They don't necessarily get it right now. And from 6 to 10, they could understand that they have to make choices when they're at the store. Like you said, you can't buy it all now. And Walter has songs to teach these lessons.
Right, so it makes it accessible for little kids, almost makes it fun, like on Saturday morning television.
Right, it's exactly how children learn at that age.
How do we deal, George, with accountability? So if I'm going to go back to this allowance, and now a child has so much to spend on a monthly basis, should the parents be following up every month, seeing what happened to the allowance, or how do they have that conversation without, really having the child feel like they're just being controlled? And
Well, I would say a couple things. One is certainly you want to follow up and see what it is that they're doing. You don't want them bringing, $50 to school or what have you, where they could be losing it. But at the same time, as a parent, you can decide whether or not you want them to do chores and earn this money, or maybe perhaps get good grades and earn the money, or a combination of both or neither. I think it's going to be, depending upon the parents. But by all means, the more you pay attention, what do they say? People respect what you inspect. So if they know what you're doing, that you're going to be asking them about it, they're going to keep up with it.
It's funny, different kids will approach it different ways. We had a rule when my kids were little, 2 girls, that they would get a certain amount of money. It was the amount they could spend on snack at school, and they could keep it all, and I would double it at the end of the week, or they could spend it on snack, and then they would have a third for savings, a third to spend, and a third for charity. So my older one figured out how many weeks there were in the year, calculated the whole thing, said, I'm never going to buy snack, give it all to me now.
Right.
And my younger one was more, weekly.
I'm sure you'll get a variety of children, one that will spend that and then next week's, and
And
then
next
others
week,
that'll,
right.
kind of save it just the way you talk.
So the idea of giving a reward for good behavior in terms of how money is managed?
Well, that could be one, certainly, and just like people have a 401k, maybe a matching type of a program to incent the saving.
And Walter the Vault has an allowance chart that keeps track every week. Let's say you get a certain amount every Sunday, and you put a sticker every time you get your allowance, and every time you don't, there's a sticker that says, where is it? So the kids hold the parents accountable.
Nice.
Right.
So Karen, if you had to pick two top tips for parents and for kids to teach kids about money, what would it be?
First, I would say relating to spending, spend less than you have at all times. And relating to savings, get into a good routine. And again, put it in a jar on a regular basis and watch it grow.
Okay. And George?
Okay.
I would say, don't overwhelm with too many concepts. Start with one, build a really good habit, and then use that as a building block. And the other is that they're paying attention to what you're doing. So do the right thing, obviously, and they're going to follow along. They're watching more than you know.
Right, so be transparent about how you save and spend and
Correct.
what you earn.
And have the discussion on a regular basis.
They'll appreciate the big picture.
The parents are role models.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And when we come back, we will sit down with a very special and enterprising young man, James Funaro. Stay with us.
I started my project when I was 6 years old and I was in first grade. On picture day in my school, I wore a suit and tie, and everyone thought that I looked very handsome. When I got home, I wanted to set a world record. Then I instantly chose Make-A-Wish for a fundraiser because my cousin and preschool friend both had their wishes granted. Well, I decided to wear a tie for 300 days, and when I met Javier, I found out that my 300th day of wearing a tie was actually his birthday.
So he just gets more and more involved the more that he does. Each thing he does, he sets new goals for himself. So I think it's just an innate thing within him to achieve what he sets and to do it better each time.
I met Javier at Make-A-Wish when I was there because we had a big celebration because I raised enough money to grant his wish. Javier has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and Duchenne muscular dystrophy basically is like a disease that makes your muscles get weaker and weaker until you get to a point where you can't even use your muscles anymore. His wish was to go to Hawaii, and he went last summer. He sent me this postcard. Dear James, I like it here in Hawaii. I'm writing to you from the beach. Last night I went to a luau. I want to thank you for my trip. Javier.
He actually raised the $6,000 by the last day of school, but he wasn't going to give up there, and he wasn't quite done wearing a tie. So he set yet another goal to wear the tie for 300 days. And at that point, he had raised, by the 300th day, he had raised over $8,000 or $8,600. And believe it or not, donations kept coming in.
And now I've raised about $11,000. And that makes me feel very proud. I learned about the value of money. I learned what it can do for others when my mom donated to the charities at the cash registers. She explained to me every time that a little bit of change can make a big difference.
James has learned that there are a lot of good people in this world, and that if you're willing to stick with something and be true to yourself, that people will respond and people will try to help you in any way that they can.
We are talking today about how to teach children the importance of money.
James Funaro decided that he would wear a tie every day to raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We are now joined by James and his father, Matthew Funaro, and Andrea Franco from the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Welcome.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's great.
We're so happy to have you on the show. So, Matt, I need to start by asking you a question.
The proud dad.
The proud dad of an awesome kid. How do you think James got inspired to start giving?
It started at a young age. He was touched by a preschool classmate at the Rinks preschool where he attended who was stricken with cancer and had a wish granted by the
Also, my cousin had cancer.
and
right?
his cousin also had cancer, and she had a wish granted a couple years prior, and we went to a fundraising event, and it just touched him, and he really wanted to help.
Now, he had to be 5 years old? 4 years old?
About 4 years old.
Wow.
Yes.
What an impact it made on you, James.
So you've always been interested in Make-A-Wish because
Yeah.
you saw how it helped people?
Yeah, I saw how it helped people, and I really wanted to like help people. Like I know how like it helped people, so I decided that I wanted to help people.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so many parents struggle with how to teach their young children about money, and they really learn by example. So could you share a little with us the things that you try to do and instill in your children?
My wife and I have always been very proactive with giving, whether it's at a cash register or whether it's giving our time.
So you saw Mom and Dad.
Or anything like that. And I think they learn that. They learn the value of even $1 of donating.
Watching Mom put change in the container, the donation container at the supermarket? And
At
what was
cash
that? What was that doing when she was putting that money in there?
Well, a little bit of change can make a big difference, I learned, and when she donated to the cash register, she told me that that when I donate that when she donates that it will help change and make a big
Yeah,
difference.
that's awesome. And Make-A-Wish Foundation.
So thank you for being here, and I know James has been very involved with Make-A-Wish for quite some time now.
Yes.
What other projects has he done for you?
Well, James is his situation is so unique. He is just such a outstanding individual to what he's done for us. To help raise the money to grant a wish of a special child was just amazing. When he first came, and he said to me, "I'm going to raise $1,000." I thought, "Wow, look, such enthusiasm."
That's how it started.
That's how it started. Yeah, $1,000, and and then he just went on from there. And every time he came, he just had more and more. And it just goes to show you that anybody can make a difference. And he's just made such a big difference.
What other things have you done with Andrea from Make-A-Wish?
Well, for Make-A-Wish, I've done wish letters. Every time they write or draw what you want, like for Christmas or Hanukkah, or like what you want, like for the